Hey, so this seemed like it'd be the easiest way for me to try to catch you up because I don't know how I could possibly type everything out. Um, so I'll just do it this way. I'll try and keep this brief, but I'm known for going down rabbit trails and off on tangents. All right. So basically, I got saved when I was 5. I'll just try to give you my testimony version. I got saved when I was 5. I went through life, whatever, baptized when I was 13. Did the kind of thing, got into high school, felt like I needed to explore ideas and stuff, got started to get into some trouble, went out to that Christian ranch in California, if you remember that. That's where God took a hold of my life. I started reading and studying the Bible, and I basically read and studied the Bible ever since. So for like the last 20 years. I came back from California, still had a lot of trouble, like working jobs, stuff like that. Um, by 2001, I felt like I just needed to step back from everything I had ever come to believe because I didn't know the difference between what I'd been taught to believe, what I'd been spoon fed all my life, and what was actually true, biblically true, whatever. So I stepped away from everything except for the truth that I believed in God, and I'm like, God, you're gonna have to teach me what is true, what truth is. And I kind of, dabbled in some different things, different ideas, different beliefs. And after about 6 years, I found that the only truth I could really find was in Christianity. Meanwhile, I'd been struggling financially, trying to get jobs, keep jobs. Like, I would get a job, and within a week or a month, I would lose the job. And then I'd spend 6 months unemployed trying to get by. And, people were giving me every reason under the sun why I wasn't trying hard enough and all this other stuff. I didn't know what to think about it. All I know is that by June of 2006, I had basically been so beat down and burnt out by trying to work jobs and make money and afford anything and keep jobs, stuff like that. And I wasn't like walking really tight with God, barely at all. I hadn't brought myself to the point where I was ready to commit everything to God. So, I'm kind of riding the fence, so to speak, and just trying to get by. And it's not working, and I'm getting very frustrated and angry at life because I can't make my way. There were some demons that decided to have fun with this. They started getting into my head. I would have like visions and dreams at night of me breaking into people's houses, killing people, burning the house down to destroy evidence, and taking what I needed from people. Well, this was horrific, and it went on for about a week or so, and I couldn't deal with it anymore. It was driving me crazy, having these visions and thoughts just poured into your head that were horrific. I couldn't shut it off. And so one night I had a conversation with God, and he was just like, are you done trying to do it your way? Are you ready to try it my way? I'm like, yeah. I was. The Holy Spirit just came and grabbed my heart in that moment, and I was willing to give it all and trust Jesus and do it his way. And within a month, I landed a job at the Ashland House, the Best Western, the hotel in Morton. I got a job washing dishes one night a week from August of '06 until March of '07. And then it became full-time work, and that lasted until June. And I thought, okay, God is in control, and he is working things out and making decisions for my life, and I'm just gonna follow it and stay out of my coffee. Bug, what the frick? Oh my god, did a bug just land in my coffee? It did. Dude, but oh my gosh. Alright. So I'm trusting in God, and I was expecting him to fix whatever problem I had with mental illness, mental health issues, whatever, that was keeping me from being able to, like, keep jobs and hold down jobs and stuff like that. And so I had this job for about a year, and I lost that job, and at this point my dad had kind of had enough, and he basically kicked me out. I was living in his basement at the time for about 4 years. It's 2007. He kicked me out. I had nowhere to go but the homeless shelter in Peoria. And I just didn't know what to think. It's like God was shattering everything I thought I knew about him. I was there for a week, and I absolutely couldn't stand it. It was traumatic. It left traumatic scars on me, and I can't stand being homeless. So I took whatever money that I had left, and I left and went to Iowa, where I have biological family, and I thought, well, I'll just start over there. And I got there, and I got a job at Hardee's, worked full-time, got my own apartment. It was a really nice apartment. It was like a penthouse suite at the top of an old hotel built in like 1902 that was converted into apartments. So, and I'm working at Hardee's full-time. I'm making enough money. I can get by. I can pay my bills. So, I went back to Illinois, got the rest of my stuff from my dad's house, and came back up. And within a couple of days of doing that, I lost my job at Hardee's. They fired me for, I don't even remember what. That was a long time ago. And I remember getting really frustrated and crying out to God, God, why is this happening? You were supposed to fix this. And I'm sure there was a lot of fist shaking at God, and I'm like, I don't understand. This isn't how this is supposed to go. You're supposed to fix me, heal me, deliver me, whatever it is. You're supposed to make it not happen. And so I ended up having to stay with my cousin for the next couple of months. I wasn't able to find work anywhere else because I couldn't afford insurance on my van. And I just didn't have any way of getting anything done or getting anywhere or doing anything until finally this girl popped up, from this girl that I knew at that ranch in California. She's living in Albuquerque, and we start talking, and she's like, you should move here. There's tons of jobs out here, blah, blah, blah. And so, needless to say, I moved to Albuquerque. I spent a great deal of time praying about it. I asked people at the church I was going to pray about it, and they prayed about it and felt that God was saying, yeah, go to Albuquerque. They even pulled together, they took an offering for me and gave me like $150, $200 to make the trip. And then the girl that I knew, she sent me another $300. So I moved to Albuquerque, and the day I got there, I ended up in a homeless shelter. Everything fell apart, and the floor was just gone when I got there. So here I am, 1,700 miles from anyone and anything I've ever known, trusting God that I'm supposed to go out there and that it'll work. And I end up in a homeless shelter, and it took me about 3 months, and I filed the taxes. My taxes from 2007 came back, and I was able to get into an apartment. Little efficiency apartment cost me like $344 a month. It was nice. It was just a little efficiency room, but hey, it worked. So there's that. And then so I was there until and that was the summer I turned 30. So the rest of the insurance settlement that I had from when I got hit by that minivan was released to me, and I basically lived off of that. And I tried to get a couple of jobs while I was out there. There was nothing. I got like 2 jobs, and I wasn't able to keep either one of them for more than a day. I'm sitting here, I have no idea why I still can't hold down jobs. I'm trusting in God. He is teaching me about the Bible and life and all this stuff, and the only thing he would ever say about it is, my grace is sufficient for you. And given that that's not really an answer that answers my questions very well, I was still pretty frustrated. But then God showed up right before I was about to run out of money, and he's like, I'm moving you back to Bloomington, Illinois. I'm like, okay. And so some things happened, and he took care of them, clearly proving to me that, hey, this is his plan, and he's going to make it work. All I have to do is just go. So I moved back to Bloomington. After about a month of being there, I ended up homeless again in a shelter for 6 months this time. I got a job at the Cracker Barrel there. And after, about 6 months of being in the homeless shelter working at Cracker Barrel, I was finally able to get into my own apartment. And within about a month or 2 of being in the apartment, it was 2 months, I lost my job at the Cracker Barrel because it was just too stressful. I couldn't handle the stress of washing dishes. Stuff was happening too fast, and I just couldn't keep up with it. And it was stressing me out to the point that, I couldn't function or do my job. I also worked night maintenance there, and I loved doing that. I pleaded with them to just let me do night maintenance, but they said, no, you have to wash dishes on the weekend. And if I can't do that, then they're just going to have to let me go. So they let me go. And at that point, I'm just throwing my hands in the air saying, God, I am done. Figure out some other way for me to do this, because working jobs, it just doesn't work. And I'm done. And it was then and only then that he finally spoke up and said, it was then and only then he spoke up and said, okay, I never meant for you to be so impoverished. I want you to call Steve Williams by name. He told me to call Steve Williams and hire him to get on disability SSI. I'm like, okay. And at the time, I'd never heard of Steve Williams. I'm like, who's Steve Williams? I don't even know who that is. But then I saw his name on the back of my phone book, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Steve Williams. He's actually a real guy. So I called him and came in for a consultation, and he took my case. And 2.5 years later, I got my SSI, and I lived on SSI from 2014 until November of 2016. And by 2015, I was busy streaming video games with my friends on the internet, and this girl showed up at our stream and was chatting with us, and God told me to marry that girl, and that he was going to move me down there, which happened exactly the way that he did. And I got married, and meanwhile, through all of these things happening, I'm living in this house. God kept me in an apartment that I couldn't afford for 3 years. I had no money coming in, and nobody came looking for rent. Somehow the bill, my electric bill, got paid about once every 6 months, and then didn't shut it off but a couple of times. There were a couple instances in there that's for a much more detailed version of this story. But needless to say, for the sake of trying to keep it brief, he kept me in that apartment and didn't let me lose it and end up homeless again. And then I got on SSI and got all my bills caught up and paid up and all that stuff, because, they send me back pay, stuff like that. So, and finally I'm actually living in a position to where I can actually pay all my bills and break even. And oh my gosh, it was such a load off my shoulders and a relief that I can finally actually do this. I honestly think too many people take it for granted just breaking even. So here we are, 2015. God sends this girl into my life and says, marry her. So we kind of build this relationship. After about 6 months, her dad drives up here, up to Bloomington from Kentucky, to load up my stuff and bring me down there. In 3 months of staying with them, which is way better than any homeless shelter, trust me. I enjoyed staying with them. After 3 months, I was able to use my SSI, the money that I get every month, and get into my own place. I rented a house out in the country. It was wonderful. And then me and Ginger ended up getting married that August in 2016, and we were married for about a year and a half, and they cut my SSI off because my dad passed away and left me too much money, and now they won't give it back. So my SSI is gone, and so we had to move out of that house because we just couldn't afford it. I got a job at the IGA. I work in the gas station. Finally, I found a job that I believe God custom designed for me. It's a job I can actually do. I can excel at it, and I love my job. So I work in a gas station, and I work in a gas station, and I work in a gas station, and so me and my wife, we moved in to this trailer with some people that were our friends, and about a month into that, my wife straight up leaves me. I'm not going to get into all the reasons why. She just bailed on me. So here I am. I couldn't deal with living with the people that we were living with anymore, and so I got out. And I had to move into a motel room, the motel room that I'm in, and I still work my job, and I'm barely able to afford this place, but thanks to Jesus, who takes care of us, he makes it work. So I'm living in a motel room, and I don't know, I guess that kind of catches you up. And over the years, I've been studying and reading the Bible, and Jesus has taught me about the Bible and life and how it all works together and what it looks like. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at. And even now, Jesus is working things out in my life. My life is about to step up, and things are about to get better yet, even. But, yeah, so that's kind of my thing, and that's where I'm at. And so I'm down here in Kentucky, working at the IGA gas station. Just walking with Jesus, trusting Jesus, letting him take care of everything, because there's not much that I can take care of myself. So, yeah.